Hi friends, are you brain damaged? Or am I? If you were like me but just feeling like an idiot my entire life until I started watching Dr. Aman. And that was the foundation of my change. And oh, it's fixable. And then one of the biggest takeaways from Dr. Aman is maybe I'm not an idiot. Maybe these things that have happened in my life are a result of the brain traumas I've had, and that I could fix them. And this is what I want to offer you.
The big lie is your problems in your life are because you inherited them from your mom and dad.
All that and more next. Welcome back to Love, Grow, Live Free, where we are learning how to live our best lives. And we're going to start on the foundation today, and that is with Dr. Aman, and what he's learned from 87,000 brain scans. I think he's up to 97,000 brain scans now, could be 100,000. But what he's done is truly, I think, revolutionized. He calls it psychiatry. I don't. I call it knowing how the mind works.
My colleagues and I would build the world's largest database of brain scans related to behavior, now over 87,000 scans on people from 111 countries.
Hi friends. Are you suffering with over-anxious thoughts, thoughts that won't stop, depression, sadness, feelings of overreaction, pole vaulting over mouse dropping? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you have troubles processing information? Cognitive impairment? Do you remember what day it is? I don't remember what day it is, 95% of the time. Probably, if I'm honest, 98% of the time, without actually thinking about it or looking at the calendar.
1991, I go to my first lecture on brain SPECT imaging. SPECT is a nuclear medicine study that looks at blood flow and metabolism.
What he's done is he's merged imaging like you would for a broken leg. You go and you have an x-ray. He's done that with the brain. So you have what's known as SPECT imaging, and it takes an image of the brain and it will show you conclusively, scientifically, the problems that you may have.
On the screen, you see two SPECT scans. This is a healthy scan. SPECT basically tells you three things. So it tells you areas of the brain that work well, areas of the brain that are low in activity, and areas of the brain that are high in activity. Got that? So good activity, too little, or too much. The image on the left shows the outside surface. Now these are blood flow maps of the brain, if you will. Healthy scan, full, even, symmetrical activity. Color doesn't matter, it's the shape. The image on the right, blue is average activity, red is the most active parts of the brain, which are typically in the back bottom part of the brain. Why? Cerebellum has half the brain's neurons.
An example would be if you have Alzheimer's, if you've had a stroke, an example would be you've had head trauma of any kind, if you were in sports.
This is what drug abuse looks like.
If you were like me when I was 6 years old and I fell out of a moving truck and landed on my head beside the road. To this day, I still have challenges, aside from chemo, but challenges with name recall. So if we were to meet and then meet a week later, not so certain I could remember your name. All my life, it made me feel stupid, like I was less than, like I was an idiot. Challenges with learning, comprehension, things like that. A side note, I could be partially Asperger's, but that's another video. But just feeling like an idiot my entire life.
Here's an image of someone who had brain trauma. Your brain is soft, about the consistency of soft butter. Your skull is really hard. Your skull has many sharp, bony ridges. Mild traumatic brain injury, as you'll see, is a significant cause of psychiatric illness, and virtually nobody knows it because very few people ever look at the brain.
Until I started watching Dr. Aman, and that was the foundation of my change in the respect of, oh, it's fixable. Because after chemo, they call this thing brain fog. Actually, I think it's traumatic brain injury, and I do think that it is brain damage that's happened. And why I think that is because I experienced it. I would be talking with somebody. Here's an example. I was trying to tell somebody the salad that I made and how good it was and the flavors and all this, and I could not tell them the word that I was thinking. I could see it in my mind's eye. It's right here. How easy is it to remember the word cabbage? I could not. It was not there. In fact, I had taken IQ tests prior and I took IQ tests after, and I lost over 10 points of IQ. But the great thing about Dr. Aman is that he gave me hope on how to rebuild my brain. And that my issues were not necessarily permanent, and I could improve my intelligence, my reasoning, my ability to comprehend. And then one of the biggest takeaways from Dr. Aman is maybe I'm not an idiot. Maybe these things that have happened in my life are a result of the brain traumas I've had, and that I could fix them. And this is what I want to offer you. If you've fallen down the stairs and hit your head, if you've ever lost consciousness, if you've had a stroke, or if you've any of these things that cause brain trauma of any level, I want to introduce you to Dr. Amen. I think that's how you say it.
Okay. So here's an image of a healthy scan versus someone who had 2 strokes. So it's not that hard to see, right? The holes are areas of severe decreased blood flow in the brain. Here's an image of someone who has Alzheimer's disease, where the back half of the brain is deteriorating. Now, the thing that is really upsetting when you understand imaging in Alzheimer's disease is Alzheimer's disease starts in your brain 30 to 50 years before you have any symptoms. So this person who I'm showing you, she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease at the age of 59. That means that her brain was likely deteriorating in her 20s. So those of you that are waiting to get serious about your health because you don't want to get Alzheimer's disease, now would be a really good time to start. Those of you that think you're going to get well after you lose your memory, forget it. Because by the time you lose your memory, it's not early in the illness, it is late in the illness. The big lie is your problems in your life are because you inherited them from your mom and dad. Genes account for about 30% of the healthcare problems in our country. About 70% of them are because of your bad habits. This is what OCD looks like, where the front part of the brain works too hard, so you can't stop thinking. And this is what bipolar disorder looks like, where there's too much activity in the brain.
In coming videos, I'm going to be talking about Dr. Joe Dispenza, Tony Robbins, and some other thought leaders. And this is all going to build, okay? Today we're going to be going over one of my juicing recipes. It's a smoothie. I'm raw until 4 or 5 every day. I blend my fruits and vegetables in the morning, and morning is relative. I have coffee when I get up, and then I make my smoothie, and it's always the same 10 ingredients in different variations, but today we're going to have some fun with it, and I'll walk you through that. And then raw until 4 or 5 with whole foods. That's key. Whole foods. Foods that nourish your body, that nourish your cells, and give you vital nutrients to heal your body, heal your mind, and thus the mind-body-spirit complex begins to come alive again. And then about 4 or 5, maybe 6 o'clock, I'll make my tortillas. Oh my God, they are so good. And since my journey started to come back to Cancun, and since I've been here, I've dropped 40 pounds. And I have more energy, I have more focus, I have more clarity. Not every day is 100%, but again, compared to 2.5 years ago, when I was practically bedridden, literally when I was not at work, I was in bed. My body, mind, spirit complex slowly dying. It was painful to walk from my truck to my room, from my room to my truck, from my truck to my desk and back. It was, some days were excruciating, other days just hurt. And since moving here to Cancun, I can tell you that my body has greatly improved. I'm forever grateful. And I want to share these things with you so that hopefully these will help you live a better life. So with that, let's get going, and I'll show you my smoothie. So we're going to take 1 bunch of spinach, cut the tip off, throw that in the trash. We filled our water to just over 16 ounces. And if you have like a Vitamix or something like that, you probably don't have to chop everything up, but I like to give my blender a break and make everything just a little bit smaller. And then we have plantains. I know that they don't look very good, but I found it's similar to bananas. When they have the darker skin, that just means they're riper. Sugar content is better, and it's just fine to be blended. Today we're going to be having banana, plantain, cucumber, papaya, celery, and spinach. So I cut about 1/3 or half, depending on how big the celery is. Just cube it. Not that it's a cube because it's cylindrical. But I found that plantains are much better than bananas, and because the delivery person thought I was confused, they brought me bananas, so I'm gonna have to use those up, but they're not my favorite. But it does create just a little bit of sweetness. So spinach is a really good detoxifier. Comes with iron. Here's the celery. Look at this. Do you see how big this is? How blessed am I, right? So we're going to take 2 of those, rinse them off. And again, we just chop it a little bit to give the processor in the blender some wiggle room. So I do use the leaves of the celery. I found that I was feeling it was wasteful if I didn't. And normally I have cilantro, but the store didn't have any this time, and then we just blend it up. Looks like it's overfull, but it's not. And then you hear our low budget alarm system next door when anybody walks by. So used to annoy me until I learned that they're performing a service. Let it run for about a minute or two, and then we just take the lid off, carefully pour it into our container. So you'll see that we have enough here for two. Put the rest of this back in the fridge. Now we have some wonderful blended smoothie, fruits and vegetables, raw till 4. And then we enjoy. So good. And one of the benefits of having a smoothie is that it's blended, it's already broken down, and it's easier on the digestive system. So it makes its nutrients more readily available for your body. So, and less taxing because there's none of that churning digestive process. It's just smooth and easy.